Hey, this is Shay with ShayRevsky.com, and I'm talking to you today about habits and the difference between having them work for you and having them not work for you, and basically how to break a habit. One of the things, so let me just tell you a story about myself. I absolutely loved Rockstars. And if you don't know what Rockstars are, they are like a monster energy drink. They're a Rockstar energy drink, and they're supposed to give you energy. They have a ton of B12, a ton of caffeine in them, and at least the one that I was drinking did. And so it tasted delicious to me. And so every day, after I dropped the kids off at school, and this started, I would probably say a year and a half, 2 years. Right after school, I would drop the kids off. I would go right to the gas station and I would get my Rockstar or two, depending on if there was a sale, because sometimes they had a sale, two for $3 or two for $3.50, depending. And I would get my Rockstar, I'd come home, and then I would start my morning routine here at my desk. And as I started going to the doctor, one of the things that's been really, really important to me is to really get my health and my self-care in order. And so I started going to the doctor, and every time I went to the doctor, I had high blood pressure. And I didn't understand why. And I thought I'm mostly calm. I mean, I'm a little out there as far as like just excited and loving life and just super positive. But I didn't understand why my blood pressure was 160 over 100 sometimes when I was going to the doctor. And like they put me on blood pressure meds, and the blood pressure meds did not work. Like it was just weird. And one of the things that I wanted to break was the habit of the Rockstar, because as I started going through like figuring out, well, why do I do this? Why do I do that? I realized that it was never really about the Rockstar or even about the caffeine that was in the Rockstar. It was that every morning after I dropped the kids off at school, I'd go to the gas station and I'd buy that Rockstar. And then when I said, okay, I'm done with the Rockstars, you know what I turned to? Mountain Dew. And again, it wasn't about the caffeine. Oh, I need the caffeine to give me energy. No, that's not true at all. Excuse me, my alarm's going on. It wasn't about that at all. It was about the habit. Every day I did something. It was a micro habit. Every day I would go to the gas station, because then I would start buying Mountain Dew. And then my main habit was to actually come home, start my morning routine, and do the work. And so in order for me to break that habit, I had to think about, well, why am I doing this habit? Like, what benefit is this serving me? And it wasn't serving me any benefit other than I was spending $15 to $20 a week on drinks I don't even need. Hello. And so then as I started really thinking about, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want Mountain Dew. I don't want my teeth to fall out when I'm older, because I've seen that happen. I don't want my blood pressure to go back up, because guess what? Once I stopped drinking the Rockstars, my blood pressure has been perfect. Imagine that. And so I didn't want to really I needed to understand why I did what I did. And so James Wedmore had a podcast last week, which made me listen. I mean, I wanted to listen to it. It was all about like habits and why we do the things we do and why we aren't where we want to be. And it hit, like, this is when all of it had come full circle to me, because I actually just recently stopped the Mountain Dews and I've not had a craving for it, which again, it's because I changed my belief around that habit in my head, which I'll get to that in a minute. Anyways, James Wedmore had Jim Fortin on his podcast last week or a couple weeks ago. And it was so good. He talked about like ways for us to blast through these habits and create the success that we want. And so as I started hearing like some of the things he said, I'm like, oh my Lanta, I'm doing that. And so one of the things that really helped me with the Rockstar was as I was stopping it, because the first couple of days it was, I wanted to go to the gas station. I wanted to get the Rockstar, and I looked at the Mountain Dew, I looked at the Rockstar, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know I really want you. Yeah. And I had to just stop myself. And I said, Rockstars are no longer an option for me. I can't go back to that. And I've not had a Rockstar since June, maybe, in like months. And it was really just not even making it about the habit. It was making it about creating a new habit, which wasn't the most healthiest habit. I mean, I just wanted to give you an example. So then I went to Mountain Dews. But now that I'm like, hey, this is no longer an option for me. And then what Jim talked about was changing your mindset around it. Like, okay, say it's no longer an option for me, and then change your thought to something different. Because if you're going to dwell on it, that's all you're going to think about, and you're going to end up failing. And do you really want to fail? Like, guys, seriously, insanity. We all know that quote. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. That's like with a workout habit. If you're going in, waking up in the morning thinking, oh, I don't want to work out, guess what? You're not going to work out. So as soon as that thought comes into your head, what you need to do is you need to say, okay, I acknowledge it, but I'm creating a new habit. And then you need to say what your new habit is. I am working out 3 times a week. And these are the days I'm working out. And today is a day I work out and I take care of my body. Something along the lines of that, so that you are putting yourself in a success mindset versus oh, I don't want to do this. Like, I sound like my 5-year-old. I tried getting her out of bed this morning. She's like, I don't want to go to school. Well, honey, I know. That's because you stayed up too late last night. And instead of going to bed, you kept calling for mommy. Not a good habit to have. Just saying. But this is what I'm talking about, guys. So really think about the thought process. Really think about what you're saying. And so get a piece of paper, grab a pen. I'm going to give you some things that you can do to help you. So one of the things that I learned from Jim Fortin, and so as I stopped the Mountain Dew, it's use this affirmation, use this thought process, this self-talk to change it. So then when you get that urge to want to do something you're not supposed to do, or you're wanting to change the habit around it, what you need to say is, for my example, is Mountain Dew is a thing of the past. And so and on top of that, again, it's enter whatever you want to say is a thing of the past. And that's how you're reprogramming your head. And so then you dismiss any of the urges, you dismiss and you think about something else so that you're not focusing on that. And so for me, I also have different plans in place so that I don't want to do the Mountain Dew. For example, on days where I do want Mountain Dew, I think about it, and the urge isn't going away, which the urge will go away because it's really all just thought process. But just in case, I have tea. And also, I always make sure that I have water here next to me, which, by the way, I love this mug or this bottle. I always make sure that I have water here so that I'm not thinking, oh my gosh, I wish I had something to drink and I wish that it was Mountain Dew and I don't have it here. Does that make sense? I hope so. Okay. So the first thing, again, blank is a thing of the past. And then you dismiss the urge is what he talked about, which is just really thinking about, okay, I'm letting it go. And you move on to something else. Think about something else immediately so you get your mind off of that. And then the second thing is be prepared. Let's say you love Diet Coke, or you love Coke or Coca-Cola, and this is something you're trying to quit. Have different choices inside your house or your job or wherever you're at so that there's no way for you to go back to that. Allow yourself to create success. That way you're not creating failure for yourself, especially with the new habits. All right. And so I just wanted to talk to you about that and with that new habit. And another thing is really changing your self-talk. How are you talking to yourself? How are you and I know this is going to sound a little bit weird, but how are you communicating with yourself throughout the day around the habit? Let's say, oh man, I really wish I had a Mountain Dew. Yeah, I wish I did have a Mountain Dew, but guess what? I'm fueling my body with water, and that's going to do so much better for my body than the Mountain Dew would. So, how are you talking with yourself throughout the day? Really think about what you're feeling as well. And when you talk to yourself, how you feel around that, because that's what's going to help solidify that habit into what you're doing. So I hope this was helpful. I know that I kind of went on a tangent and I was a little scattered, but like this really makes me passionate. Stop doing things that aren't working. And I'm guilty of that too. Like I need to create new habits, and I'm really excited to share them with you as I'm going through and doing that. But yeah, again, I stopped Mountain Dew, I stopped Rockstar, and so far it feels good. And I don't think that I'm going to be going back to them anytime soon. If I am, I mean, we're imperfect. We're all human. I get that we'll regress and that we'll have those moments, but really think about how you talk to yourself if something like that does happen, or go in assuming you're going to succeed. Another thing that I do is on my calendar, I have a wall calendar up here. I check mark a day of no Mountain Dew, day of no Mountain Dew. And like, it's really cool because then I see that I'm actually doing what I'm saying I'm doing, which is self-integrity to myself. And if I don't have integrity with myself, I really can't expect myself to have integrity with others. Does that make sense? And so I would much rather see the check mark versus the little O stating that I messed up that day, because it's important to me. And that's really something for you to think about as well. And that was another thing Jim talked about, but I've been doing that before he even talked about it, is really just documenting and tracking it. What you track, like, it excels. And so if you're tracking what you're doing and you're doing it amazingly, imagine how that makes you feel. And imagine like looking at that saying, wow, I'm accomplishing what I'm saying I'm going to accomplish. All right, that's enough for today. I'm Shay with shayrubsky.com, and I'm excited to hear from you. What's a habit you're trying to break or create? What are some tips or tricks that you're doing or that have or have not worked for you? I would love to hear them in the comments below. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good day.